Welcome to Broncos Country Tonight. We continue to break down the last parts here of the Broncos-Chargers game. We'll start to tilt ahead to the Raiders coming up in a little bit. But first, I want to go back over what we saw in the film. I have a chance after to rewatch it. Tim Jenkins did his breakdown. He's a guy that joins us every Monday on the program. He did his breakdown. So first, Ben, after rewatching the All-22, what were a couple of things that jumped out to you?
Well, much like it has been over about the last 4 or 5 games, I think when you get to the A22, the first thing you say is, hey, Drew Lock is not as bad as people make him out to be. There are things to correct. There are definitive issues to correct. But if you look at what's actually happening in there, the process instead of the result, you can see it's not always on him. You know, you could go back and you can see wide receivers not correctly running the route or to the spot they're supposed to be. You can see the concept developing and maybe the blocking isn't where it's supposed to be on some things. And then you do see mechanical issues in decision-making from Drew too. It's a combination of things. You see a young offense that's still in the phase of growing up. They're in the crawl, starting to teeter on a few steps, but they're not really walking yet of the crawl, walk, run phase. And so I think that, you know, Broncos Country, we've been preaching patience on this show all year. And, you know, we've been trying to tell you, now we all know. We know, but we already knew, but we know they're going to run it back with Vic, right? So we've been trying to have patience. So if you just have patience just a little bit longer, there's a few more things they need to iron out here, but this thing is definitely on an upward trend, and you can clearly see that from the tape.
How much of the combination of the offensive struggles can be placed on not just the quarterback, but young offensive line, or at least young players in the offensive line and young receivers? Because for me, this game against the Chargers was really hammered home, not just because of Jerry Jeudy's drops, but that obviously was a major contributor, but just it was kind of hammered home. You just don't have a lot of veteran guys on this offense all out there seeing what they need to see at the pro level. It's a lot of young guys still finding their way. And, you know, it strikes me because I know over the course of the year, a lot of people were pointing to Justin Herbert and his success. And you have to point out simultaneously, he has a Pro Bowl wide receiver he had all year until really this last week with Keenan Allen. Hunter Henry is one of the premier third down conversion tight ends in the league, runs the seam route almost better and some of those flat routes better than anybody else in the league. And so, you know, one of the things that I kind of marveled at while I was rewatching it is just like, you know what? This team, the offense, has taken some steps forward, but their youth does show up from time to time. And I think part of the struggles really come down to the entirety more so than just the one.
You're absolutely hitting the nail on the head. And that's the thing that most people don't get about this kind of stuff, is that having veteran guys out there makes your life as a rookie quarterback that much easier. You go back and you look at guys that have had instant impact in the NFL, young quarterbacks over the last 2 years that have instant impact. Who are they? Well, out of last year's draft class, that's Kyler Murray. Who was he throwing to? Larry Fitzgerald is one of the guys out there. You know, one of the all-time veterans. You look at Justin Herbert. Guys, he's got Keenan Allen, Hunter Henry, like you mentioned. Mike Williams has been around for a while. You look at some of the other young quarterbacks that have guys out there that have been out there a while. Even Jalen Hurts has guys that he steps in, but guys that have been out there for a while.
Alshon Jeffrey, Zach Ertz are both out there.
He was the number 1 pick this year. You know, you go back and you look at, you go back and you look. AJ Green is a guy that's out there. Tyler Boyd's been in the league a while. They have guys out there that have had success and had reps in the league. And then you go and you look at Drew Lock, who's essentially a rookie. Yeah, he got 5 games last year, but he's essentially a rookie. And you look at the guys he's throwing to. Tim Patrick, a guy whose career high in receptions, I think, is 30. He's been in the league a little bit, but he's still a young guy, doesn't have a lot of reps. And then you got Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, a little bit of Deshaun Hamilton, some Tyree Cleveland out there. I mean, you're talking about 3 rookies and a bunch of guys that just don't have a ton of reps. And so, you know, and no offense, in his second year, Albert Okwuegbunam's a rookie. So you don't have that out there, and that's a vital part of becoming a quarterback, is having guys out there that understand what they're supposed to be doing when the play breaks down, and the Broncos don't have that.
Yeah, and so that'll be something that I'm not saying you bring somebody in to fill that role, because I think Courtland Sutton, with the leap he took from year 1 to year 2, will be that guy for this team. And then again, you're talking about another year for these guys. Noah Fant will be in his 3rd year next year. Jerry Jeudy will be coming into his 2nd year. I expect a big leap from him. KJ Hamler, same thing. So, I mean, the leaps will all happen, and it's kind of along the timeline of what we thought, but I think sometimes we get so focused on the quarterback should raise all boats. And yes, he should, but if he's doing it at the same time as everything else happening around him, everybody else learning their job, then it obviously creates some inconsistencies, and I think that's kind of what we've ultimately seen. What did you notice from Tim Jenkins' breakdown? Because I think he does such a great job. It's like a 32-minute breakdown today. And again, subscribe to his YouTube channel. But I thought he did a really good job, as he always does, highlighting the good and the bad. Starting with the good, though, what kind of jumped out to you? Because, well, first of all, it seems to me that every single week we see just one little thing from him that seems a little bit, and I'm talking about Drew Lock, one little thing that's a little bit better. Yeah,
what you're seeing is a quarterback that is manipulating the safety with his eyes at a veteran level. He's starting to do the little things at a veteran level. And those little things will turn into big things. Does he still have some vision issues occasionally? Yeah. Does he still have some footwork issues? Absolutely. But you're seeing a guy who's manipulating the safeties with his eyes and making the right decisions on plays, and starting to do that more and more often. And that's paying dividends. You go out there and you look, and the Chargers ran mostly cover 3 and then press man with one high and a robber underneath most of the game. And you can see he recognizes the coverage shell. He manipulates the high safety into going where he wants, and then finds the other guy. And he's doing that correctly. The more that he does that, the better he's going to be as a quarterback long term.